You were made for more. But how do you navigate that journey of living your dream when life is filled with distractions and that mean girl in your head keeps asking you questions like, are you enough? Do you have what it takes? Is anyone really going to listen? Maybe the question isn't, are you ready? But how are you becoming the person your dream needs you to be? Sometimes we gather our courage and inspiration from other ordinary people who've dared to decide this is their time to show up for their dream. And so they're real about their struggles, they're doing the hard work, and they're making progress. And so let's look at some of these stories of people who are living their made for more dream. Hello everyone, today I am so excited to introduce you to Marie-Eve Dawood. So Marie-Eve and I met, we never heard of each other before, we met in a writer's meet and greet in Toronto, Canada. We were there to meet an author and a leader that we both follow and admire, and we started to hear each other's stories, and we just totally got excited hearing each other's story, and I want you to hear hers too. So, hello, Marie-Eve.
Hi.
You are a Christian woman who waited until you were age 40 to get married.
Yes.
And so I know that ties into your Made for More dream and what you're working on now and how all that came about. So tell us your story.
So, just like every little girl, I always dreamt of being married. And to me, it was almost like I call it my calling. It was more than just something that I really wanted. It was, how you can call a job or a career or even a calling. So this was my biggest dream. And unfortunately, as a Christian, your options are kind of limited when you're looking for a certain type of person. And for some reason, it didn't work out for me for a very long time. And until it did finally, and I didn't know I would have to wait this long, but I think the whole experience just gave me a real burden for women of faith who are waiting and who lose hope and get discouraged and just can't let this go. When something is so strong and that you can't let it go, I think that's a sign that it's coming from God. And so that's my story.
Awesome. So your dream was to get married. You're married now. How does that fit into your calling, and what are you doing with that? You have this message, kind of this passion in your heart for other people now. What are you doing with that?
So I have one of my other dreams was to write a book and to, publish a book. And so for a long time, I was kind of, writing down ideas. And one day after, I don't know how many breakups, I was on a train ride, like a 5-hour train ride, and I decided to start taking notes about, my feelings about relationships and dating as a Christian and that kind of thing. And that's when it all started. And I had, kind of tried to start writing a book on different topics before, but this was something that was I had a lot to say about. Mm-hmm. And so I started just writing on my own, and I figured I could probably self-publish, or maybe, 1 in a million chance, find a publisher that would probably get me to change the entire book before they put it out there. But, I wanted to find a way to make my dream come true. And then one day I was online, and I don't even remember exactly how I found out about this program. But I stumbled upon Carrie Oberbrenner's program, Author Academy Elite. And basically he's an author a Christian author, just happened to be Christian, which I was thrilled about. And he's published a few books and with traditional publishers. and I guess he found that he made a lot of mistakes along the way. There's things that he wishes he would have known. And so he decided to help other authors, to walk them through the process and to help them realize their dream of publishing a book. So he had this course, and I just right away, I applied, and it didn't work out at first because I take a long time. I kind of, spend a lot of time thinking and planning and strategizing, and then I didn't really have the funds to go ahead with it. But I kept coming back to it and kept coming back to it. And eventually I thought, you know what, if I don't do this now, I might never do it. Mm-hmm. And so I need to start taking action. I'm 40. I want to publish a book. I want to be a published author, and I want to publish more than one book. So I really need to get moving on this dream. Mm-hmm. So I signed up, and let me tell you, it has been life-changing. It lit a fire under me to really, start. I had already started writing, but it's really put the motivation behind it to meet the deadlines, and he walks you through absolutely every step. Mm-hmm. It made the process a lot less intimidating as well, to have a published author kind of mentor you through it. Yeah. And it's been great. I can't believe where I'm at. I'm in the middle of I'm nearing the end of my 7th chapter. And I never thought I would be doing this. And now all these possibilities are opening up for speaking and, writing more books, and it's great. I feel like I'm on my way to living my dream.
Wow. Yeah. So being able to take that step, being part of a community, being part of a support system, having a structure to kind of walk your dream through, having someone else say, hey, yeah, your dream can happen. Sounds like all of those things were a big part in lighting that fire so that you could just go for it. The accountability, all of those things. What were some of the, there's lots of challenges and surprises that come with deciding, hey, I'm going to step into my dream. What's one challenge or surprise that's come your way that's helped you grow into who you need to be to live your calling and have your dream come true?
I don't know if there were any surprises. I think that I knew it would be a tough process. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of distractions in life. Obviously, if it's not your main, your main gig, like I have a day job. I'm very lucky in that I work from home, but I also have 4 stepkids. So that's crazy. The constant driving, the constant bickering, and having to, break up fights and make lunches and give baths and all that. So there's a real battle for your focus and for your time. Mm-hmm. And so the way I've dealt with it, I guess, always having had to write kind of to keep that as a side hustle. I think I had already learned to fit it into the nooks and crannies of my life. And I know there's an author I really love named Sark, and you probably know of her. She talks about something called micro movements. And that's when, instead of thinking like, oh, okay, I'm going to get, a whole chapter written this week, you just start with a tiny little, I'm going to write down ideas for the anecdote I want to use for the beginning of my chapter. And, something that takes 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And often that's the trick to getting you to go longer. And before you know, you've been working for an hour. Mm-hmm. So that's I think the biggest challenge. But the challenge that I would have had without the support of this course would have been motivation and just not getting discouraged through the process. And I find that, no matter how much you fight it, it is so true that we need external motivation. We need accountability. It's just like, if you want to exercise on a regular basis, they always say, hook up with a friend to, go work out with, or get a personal trainer, and that will make you show up. And it's so true. Without this course, I would not be accountable to anyone. I would just take, months and years and never really, keep myself accountable to do it. And
fight through the discouragement and the distractions and
exactly.
Why am I doing this again? Why am I putting myself through this? All of those questions that pop up when you're,
exactly.
Yeah.
And having deadlines too really helps.
Sure.
I find a deadline that someone else has put in place, and then you're like, oh no, I better be on the ball, and I better give them the respect of, turning my work in on time.
Right. So as you go through this and you have the accountability and the support and the structure, you found, the support that you needed for this dream. What is that message? Come back to the message that's on your heart that drives you through this, that your book is all about. So if you met a woman who isn't married yet and that is her dream, she feels like it's a calling, and whether sometimes she feels like sharing that with people or not, what would you want to say to her?
Oh, so much. But my whole message is hope. I just want to give these women hope. Because trust me, I'm the last one I thought would be sitting here with a ring on my finger, with 4 stepkids. I'm still in shock, actually. I still turn around and go, oh, I'm with someone, it's, I'm married. Oh, and I have, life has changed so fast. And what I would say to them is that I went through it. My life seemed to be the same for about 20 years. It did not change, at least not in the way that I wanted it to. And it just felt stagnant and plain and boring. And, I did everything I could to be content and to have great people in my life and activities and things. But in that area, I just felt so stuck. And I would just like to tell people that no matter how long you've been waiting, the fact that it hasn't happened for 20, 30, 40 years doesn't mean it never will. Mm-hmm. I think that's a key thing to remember, because we're so, we look at circumstances, we look at what we can see, and we don't realize that there are moments of destiny in our lives that are actually scheduled by God. And I always think of Noah and how, he built the ark, and, they say people were mocking him because it had never rained, or it hadn't rained in 100 years. And
it took him like over 100 years to build the ark.
Right. Can you imagine?
That's insane.
That's how I felt sometimes. Like, I've been here 100 years building for this dream, and it hasn't happened. And so it doesn't look like it will happen. But lo and behold, here came the rain and more rain and more rain, and it flooded the whole earth. And, everybody was surprised, but he chose to believe that God's word was true, and he chose to keep building. And I think that's so powerful. I always go to that example and think, and I'm sure there's tons of other examples in the Bible where, or even in your life, if you think about it, the day you were born alone, that had never happened before. You are now a person ooh, all of a sudden there's a new human being on the earth. You know, that's a once in a lifetime thing. And there's tons of moments like that in our lives. And so I think it's important to hang on to hope, even though it's so easy. Trust me, I know it's so easy to get discouraged in the wait, especially when the wait is long.
The wait's long and it's happening. It seems to be happening for everyone else but you.
Yes.
And then everybody forgets, and it doesn't seem like anybody understands really. And then on the other side of you, you have people who've become embittered about their circumstances, and you're trying to fight for that hope and stay positive. It's a tough journey. It's a tough journey when that's your dream. And
yeah, it's really tough.
Yeah. That's awesome. Marie-Eve, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I will share the link of where you can find out more about Marie-Eve. Do you have a title for your book yet, or is that
I do.
Yeah, what is it?
I'm pretty sure this is my final title. My book is going to be called Jesus Shrank My Dating Pool.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, so if you want to find out more about Marie-Eve and her journey and updates about when her book will be released and finished and all of that, I'll post a link here where you can find out more about that. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
All right. Hi, I'm Emily Grabatin, and I hope you found some inspiration for your calling, for your purpose, for your Made for More dream. But if you are still stuck, I have a 10-day e-course, 10 days to brave action that will help you find some space for your dream, your courage, some clarity as to where you're going so that you can move forward. And if you want that, you can find that at emilygrabatin.ca/brave action. Hope to find you there.